Good morning, everybody. This is Timothy with the New York State Network for Youth Success. Welcome. This is the first meeting of our 2019 Site Leader Institute. We're really glad you're here. I am going to flip from my video to a PowerPoint presentation in just a minute, but I just wanted to let you know we're really glad you're here. This is an event, an institute that we have done now. This is the fourth year. It's gotten a little bit different every year, so we're really excited to have a new group of people go through it. Let me flip right now to our PowerPoint so that there's some nice visuals. Not that I'm not a nice visual, but a differently nice visual. Everybody should be able to see my screen, and I'm going to turn this into a presentation. So you should now see a PowerPoint presentation that says 2019 Site Leader Institute. Can you see that?
Yes.
Awesome. And if you're joining by phone and you can't see the video, I will try to narrate what's going on, and I will also share both a link to the recording and the actual slideshow so that you can keep up with it later. So welcome. What we're going to cover this morning, I'd like to hear a little bit from you just to start with, since I'll be doing a lot of talking on this orientation webinar. So just to hear a little bit from you all. Then I'll tell you a little bit about our organization. I know that we have worked with many of you before, but just to go a little more in depth into what we do. And then I'll talk about the overall process of the Site Leader Institute, what we're going to do, why we're doing it. And then we'll end by addressing your burning issues, what in that content really speaks to you that you're really excited about, to make sure that we emphasize that. And then the last thing we'll do is make sure that we're clear on the next steps. There will be homework. So did all of you get your copy of Beyond the Bell? Has that come to you yet?
Was that like in an email, or is that an actual book? Or
it's an actual book. It should be a book and a flash drive with information. So it should be on the way. So that's what the homework is going to be about. I think we ordered them for you last week, so it'll be on the way. So, but that's where the homework will be. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
The first thing I just would love to hear from each of you, if you could just tell me your name, the site, as well as the organization that you work at, what your role is in the program, and then finally, what's a hope that you have either for your program itself or for the young people that are in your program. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Sure. My name is Sabrina Williams. I am the site coordinator for the Hudson Block Nation After School Program, Hatch, grades 2 through 5. I basically supervise the entire 2 through 5 program. A hope for the program that I have is just to continue to have happy kids and just continue our, we have like an academics small group tutoring, and it really helps benefit the kids, and the families, parents really love it. So just we hope to continue that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Who'd like to go next?
Sure.
I could go next.
Thank you.
My name is Deglecia Jacobs. I am the site coordinator for the junior high Nest, Hudson Blue Hawk Nation, ASP, of course, grades 6 through 8. What I do is basically same thing as Miss Sabrina, and go around, make sure and supervise everything, all the clubs, make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to. And a hope that I have moving forward this year would be to try to get a little bit more clubs to intrigue more students to come to program and enjoy it even more than they usually do.
Yeah, that's 6th through 8th is really tough, and I think that's a good hope. Like you'll constantly have to update what you do and what you offer to keep that age group coming. But huge benefits when you can. But it's like, oh no, they've already used up all my activities and they're tired of these clubs. What do I do? So okay, good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Darren?
You're welcome.
Yes. So how you doing? My name is Darren Collins. I run the My Brother's Keeper program, and I basically just want to become a better leader and just be just to know how do certain things with my age group. When I have two groups, one group is in 7th grade going into 8th, and one group is in 9th grade going to 10th grade. And just want to be a better leader, just to be better to show them the things that they got to do throughout life. Pretty much it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also, a very tricky age group, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, but also a critical age group, like keeping them engaged, giving them the support at that age group really can make a huge difference for the rest of high school and hopefully springboard them into success after high school. So awesome. Darren, what's your role? Are you directly leading My Brother's Keeper? Are you supervising other people who lead the program?
Well, I'm doing both. I'm
Okay.
directly leading and I'm supervising also.
Good. It helps me to understand where you all are coming from. Some people are in a strict supervisor role, and other people have multiple hats. Like we've worked with some people, like I'm a school teacher during the day, but then I suddenly become site director after school, or I'm a lead teacher, but I fill in when my supervisor's not present, and so I have to learn how to do the job, even though most of the time I'm doing a different job. So knowing that you're like, I'm both trying to make sure these young people are getting what they need directly, but I'm also managing behind the scenes. That's really helpful for me to help shape how we do things. So thank you all. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I think mine is the same way.
Yeah, excellent. So let me tell you a little bit about us as an organization. We don't run after school programs. We want to make sure that programs like yours are getting what you need. So our mission is to strengthen the capacity and commitment of communities, programs, and professionals. We want to increase the access. Yes.
Sorry, can we just pause 1 second just
Sure.
so Darren can join the thing? Like, he's going to hang up and call back. Can you give us like 2 seconds?
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry. Well,
No,
he'll be
that's okay.
calling right back. Me and Dougie are still on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We want to make sure that everybody can be as fully engaged as possible. This is going to be a really fun part of the webinar for those who are watching the recording. They're going to be like, why is he on this slide for so long? Why is he not talking? I'm hoping that this format will allow people to fast forward or skip ahead. So we'll find out. This is the first time I've tried to use this for recording. We typically just use it so that we can connect with our partners across the state without anybody having to travel, and we really like it. So we'll see. One thing while we're waiting for Darren for you to start thinking about is what are some things that you would like to learn or gain as supervisors? So later I'll ask specifically, but if you want to start thinking about that, just some of the skill sets or the knowledge or the practices, because that's going to be the major focus when we get together in August for the in-person part, is actually working on those skills and developing strategies and practicing those strategies. But I want to get that ball rolling. So you can start thinking about that now.
Sounds good. And just an update on Mr. Darren. He is back on the phone with us, but actually, Mr. Darren, can you hear us?
I don't see him.
So when he clicked on the link from that, from the website, he typed in his participant ID, and it's saying that he's the host, like in his own party. I'm wondering if he has the wrong information for some reason. The direct link from the email you sent.
Yep.
He clicked on it. He did join on the phone, and then when he called and typed in the number and then the participant number, the screen pops up like us, but it says that he's the host and he's the only participant. Just for an update on him,
So I'm going to send him another invite right now, and we'll see if we can fix that.
Mr. Darren, check your email. He's going to send you another.
What is Mr. Darren's email? Do you all know his email?
Not yet.
I got it. I had it written down. I just didn't want to look it up.
Yeah, he hasn't yet received the other email.
I just sent it, so it should be on its way.
Okay. Did you send it to collinsd1@hudsoncsd.org?
Nope. I'll tell you
Oh.
where I sent it in just a second.
Okay.
I sent it to Dougie instead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, collinsd1.
I copied the wrong one. So don't join again, Dougie. You're already there.
I got you. I got you.
He sent it to the wrong person, Mr. Darren, so he'll be resending it here in a second.
All right, it just left my inbox. So
it just left his inbox.
Go, internet, hurry, fast, fast. Oh, I see Darren's joined.
There we go.
Can you hear us, Darren? Next time we do this, I'll make sure that there's a second person helping. Are you there?
Hey. Yep,
hey. All right.
Thanks
Awesome.
so much for your patience, Tim.
Oh, that's no problem. Well, there's only a couple of us, right? So we can wait for each other. I mean, it's not helpful if we aren't all able to be a part of this. So Darren, are you just on the phone or are you also watching as well?
Hey, I can see everything and I'm on the phone.
Awesome. You are fully connected. So I will not read our mission to you. I will just tell you the high points. What we really want to see happen is that every young person in the state of New York has amazing high quality opportunities when they're not in school. But because we don't directly operate programs, we choose to support programs like you and help you do what you do at the highest possible level. So that's why we work directly with professionals, we work with programs overall, but we also try to support communities to make sure that those opportunities are really happening. So I just want to take a couple of minutes and tell you about all the things that we do at our organization to cover that, just to give you a clear sense of where we're coming from and all the other resources that we offer. So we do access, and we do that primarily through policy and advocacy. We do local, state, and federal level of advocating. So we work with local communities, we work with the state, both with the government agencies as well as the legislature, and at the federal level to really encourage funding and support for after-school summer and expanded learning programs. We also advocate for increasing funding. I'll tell you more about some of our specific asks in a minute. And we also—
You cut out, Tim.
Oh, I did? Yep. My internet connection is apparently unstable.
Hello?
Yep.
Tim is gone. I still see the screen.
Yep. Just a minute.
Oh.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just got a sign that said that my internet is unstable. So hooray.
Oh, lovely.
That'll make this fun. But hopefully I'm recording this onto my computer, so it's not going to the cloud. So even if we miss key points, we'll be able to go back and get to it later. The other piece of advocacy that we do is we work directly with the state agencies that manage after school. So the Office of Children and Family Services, the Department of Education, the Department of Health, all those groups that in some way touch youth programs, we go to them and we say, hey, we're hearing these issues from the field. Can we work on it with you? Can you help us take care of this to make these programs run effectively, but also so that everybody's clear on how the regulations should actually be applied.
Gotcha.
So that's one level of what we do. Another level of what we do is promote high quality programs. We have developed a bunch of resources. We have a tool called the Quality Self-Assessment, which I believe you all are very familiar with. We have a school community partnership guide. We've organized learning groups around different issues, such as community schools and school community partnerships. We also are a credentialing body. So we own and manage the school age care credential for the state of New York, which is a recognized credential. If you earn the school age care credential, which is a combo of formal classwork and a portfolio, meant for people who are working currently in the field, you qualify to be a site director at a licensed OCFS program in the state of New York. And that credential travels across the state. We also do program accreditation, so issue certificates for programs that achieve a higher level of quality based on our accreditation standards. I do professional development. That's my role, is workshops like this, institutes, as well as peer coaching and one-on-one coaching. And we also support food funding enrollment through the Child Adult Care Food Program, which is a federal program to support meals for kids.
Great.
We are connected. So we're not just a statewide organization, we're also the affiliate for the National After School Association. And we're one of 50 state after-school networks. So every state has its own after-school network like us that does work like us. So we're connected to them and we can tap into their expertise and their knowledge and what they've done. And then our major federal partner, as well as our state partner, is the After School Alliance. They're an advocacy organization based out of Washington, D.C. They coordinate days at the nation's capital to promote after school. And they also help support our work at the state level. So part of our work is not just paying attention to what's happening in the state, but really paying attention to what happens across the country. I'm going to use the term after school a lot. When I do, I really mean youth programs. So I'm talking about school-based, community-based, I'm talking about faith-based, I'm talking about programs that happen before school and after school, summer programming, evenings and weekends, things that happen during summer breaks, holiday breaks. Anytime a child is not in school but is in a program, we care about that program and we care about what happens to that young person. So we just say after school just as sort of a shorthand, but we really mean a very broad cross-section of youth programs. So extending past programs that directly serve youth, there's a lot of organizations that fit under that heading: libraries, science centers, museums, people who provide services to youth, but aren't necessarily only about youth programs. So we partner with as many of those different organizations as we can to support the work of creating high quality opportunities for young people. Besides me, there are other people on our team. We're a small but talented group of people. Our executive director is Kelly Sturgis. Our associate executive director, who's based out of the New York City area, is Allie Leidy. They sort of connect the dots with all of these different initiatives. So they manage all of these things. They're our first level of advocacy and connection to all of our other partners across multiple organizations. Their main work is increasing resources. So they do a lot of research to support our work, which includes grant research. They also try to expand our state reach, so bringing more people into our regional networks and more people into understanding the value of after-school programming and why it's there. Our policy department, we have a special department just for working on policy. We have a policy consultant, Jen O'Connor, and a policy fellow, Trudy Dodsey. and both of them work on all of our advocacy work. So a couple of big wins this past year: an additional $10 million for the Empire State After School program. That is in addition to $10 million that was added the previous year, so $20 million over 2 years. $35 million was initially given to that program in 2017, and then Advantage After School was threatened to be cut, and now it's been restored. So after school, the Advantage After School program, which is another state-funded program, got its funding back. And a lot of that is due to efforts not only from our department, but coordinating work of a lot of different voices across the state to call their elected officials and say, these are important programs and we need you to keep them going.
Right.
Our capacity building department is Erin Broderick and her team. They are the group that does the credentialing and the accreditation. Erin also leads our annual conference, which some of you I think have been to, and she also coordinates our membership as well as the Child Adult Care Food Program. So there's a lot of overlap between her program and my program in terms of working directly with professionals and helping them develop their skills. Erin is a credentialed trainer, and she's also a credentialed coach for the state of New York. I am the professional development director, so I'm a credentialed trainer in the state of New York. I'm also I'm the lead for our National Girls Collaborative Project, which is a STEM initiative to promote gender equity and access to lots of different people in science, technology, engineering, and math. And I also lead our work with the quality self-assessment tool. So I lead all of those workshops and do all of that work. So my main job is working directly with programs, whether that's through a workshop, through helping them understand quality tools and how to use them, or doing coaching, whether that's group coaching or individual coaching. So I work mainly with professionals, where Erin works mainly with organizations or with formal credentials. So that's us in a nutshell. Before I talk about our regional networks, any questions about any of our work so far? So I can take a breath.
I think we're all good.
Yeah,
But
we're
you
good.
can take a break if you need.
Thanks. And I know some of this is not news to you. Some of this you've heard before, but we're always surprised when people realize, oh, you do advocacy? Oh, what's this credential I hear about? So we try to make sure, especially during an orientation like this, that we cover all the bases so people know all the resources that are available to you.
Absolutely.
Our regional networks is one of our main ways that we try to connect with people in the field. We have networks across the state. So you see network number 6 in good old Columbia County. That's the Host Hudson Out of School Time Network. Kathy Clark, who of course you know from Hudson Blue Hawk Nation, is one of the members of that network, and she's also a board member. So each of these networks is groups of people who represent agencies and organizations that care about youth. So they come together for a couple of different reasons. They want to share best practices with each other. They want to coordinate local professional development. They want to share information. Sometimes that's critical local information, like how do you apply for county funds, or who's the right person to talk to about getting this done. But they also group together for advocacy on local policy issues. So bringing people together to talk to their local elected officials, whether that's at the city, at the county, or at the state level, bringing them together means that they represent a really large cross-section of the young people in that area, which is something elected officials really care about. I've met very few elected officials who don't care about what happens to young people in their district, because they know a lot of voting people are parents, or they care about their kids, they care about the future. So having a group that can actually advocate directly about what is actually impacting our young people and what are their issues is a huge thing. So those are some of the reasons why regional networks get together. And Kelly and Allie's job is really to help start those networks so that people can work locally and connect with these state and federal initiatives that we do. Here's a full list of the networks. So you see Hudson Out of School Time is in there, but we have networks all across the state, stretching from Buffalo up to Plattsburgh, down to the island, and with many points in between. These are all in different places too. Just like people grow and develop at different speeds, these networks have been around for various lengths of time. We bring them together periodically to share their successes and their strengths and what they've learned. And it's a really rich way for programs to connect and support each other. I'm going to share these with you, but I'm not going to spend a ton of time on them because I have a feeling you already know the value of after school, but I think these next couple of slides really illustrate how we try to message our work, and it's worth reminding every once in a while like why we do what we do. So after school and youth programs do a ton of things for young people. They really support student achievement, they prevent things like crime, drug use and pregnancy, childhood obesity, but they also support working families and create skills for the future workforce. 8 in 10 parents that have kids in after school agree that those programs are beneficial to them, and 84% of all parents support public funding for those programs. That's huge. There are very few issues that many people are in agreement on. And you can see here that even Republicans and Democrats are at least at 80%, if not more, in agreement that these are really good programs and they really benefit society and public as a whole. 83% of parents say that their program is beneficial to the kids in terms of keeping them from doing negative things. And then we also know that these are efficient programs. Every dollar that's invested in after-school programming saves $3 by reducing crime and welfare costs, improves kids' performance at school, and increases kids' earning potential. So this money doesn't just go into a pit and never returns. Every dollar is an investment that saves money in the public in the long term and also creates money down the line. In New York State, those programs are funded locally. Some cities and counties operate their own programs. There's state funding, so there's an alphabet soup of acronyms here. The Advantage After School Program, the Empire State Program, Extended School Day School Violence Prevention, YDP that's the only acronym here I don't know. No, SYEP, I don't know that either. Note to self, learn these acronyms. But so you can see lots of different pools that support programming. On the federal side, the 21st Century Community Learning Centers, the Child Adult Care Food Program are some of the ways that money from the federal level supports youth work. And then there are also child care subsidies. So parents can get a subsidy through a program to support fees that go into supporting their child's enrollment in early childhood or after school programs. So that's another important source of money that tends to come through block grants. So these are some of the things that we talk with elected officials about when we talk about advocacy and supporting these programs. Public funding, as you can see from this graph, is not steady. So there was a period when the economy took a downturn, when funding for these programs also took a downturn. They were some of the things that were cut. So a lot of our advocacy in the last few fiscal years has really been about returning those funding levels to where it was back in 2007, 2008, and now we're starting to see gains. Although those gains in dollars does not necessarily mean gains in supporting programs, because now we're trying to catch up for cost of living increases and inflation. And now with the minimum wage going up, we actually need an increase in funding to maintain the same level of programming that we currently have. So these are some of the issues that we're talking about with programs and with elected officials. The other really important thing that not only we as people in the field need to know, but that everybody needs to know, is that for every child in a program, there's 2 more waiting to get in. So only 1 in 3 children who would participate in a program are participating in a program. And it's not because they don't know about programs, it's because there aren't any programs for them to go to. Or the programs that they could go to are full. Or the programs they could go to are too expensive for them to participate in. So there's a huge need in New York that adds up to about 1.1 million young people who could be in a program but aren't for various reasons. So that's an urgent need and a huge problem. So I wanted to share that with you, not because I think you need to know that in terms of motivating you to do your jobs, but just to let you know, these are some of the things that we do behind the scenes outside of the Site Leader Institute in order to promote your work. So those slides were specifically presented to a coalition of community foundations to encourage them to start thinking about youth programming and the benefits and how they can support it. So that's the kind of work that we do to advocate on your behalf. I also wanted to share them with you because one of the things that comes up sometimes in the Site Leader Institute is the need for marketing, that people don't know about our program, or they don't rally when we need them to, they don't come to our events. So some of this messaging and helping programs understand how to market their programs and how to tell the story of their programs is another service that we do. So I just wanted to share that with you. Any questions, thoughts, or comments about any of the information I've shared so far about the network?
Not
No,
so far.
I think you're good.
Awesome. Keep on going then. So we're going to change gears now that you've heard everything you could possibly ever want to know about the Network for You success. Let's talk about the Site Leader Institute that you signed up for. So my first question is, did you sign up for this, or did Mr. Mike or somebody else say, oh, by the way, I signed you up for this, you're attending?
Oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way, yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So let me tell you what Mr. Mike got you into. What we're going to do is work on improving your knowledge and give you the support you need to do your job effectively. That's the goal of this institute. We often work with people who work directly with youth, but when it comes to supervising these programs, we find that a lot of people who were great with youth get promoted, and then they're not necessarily given the tools and support they need to be successful as a supervisor of other adults. So we're going to really focus on giving you that support and helping you understand that role and what it looks like to do that well. And sort of the secret secondary goals of this program, the other objectives, ties back to our mission. We want to increase program quality, and we want to make sure that young people have really high quality opportunities when they're not in school. So somebody's speaker is now on. So if you're going to have that, okay, now it's off. Thank you.
That was me, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. We just don't want to get an echo. So those are also in the mix. So I'm going to be talking as we meet and as we work together a lot about program quality, but really we're going to focus on what is your role as a supervisor, as somebody who impacts all of these other staff and as well as youth. How do you do those things and what does that look like? Because you have a very specific role. But Darren, since you said that you're also working directly with youth, and I assume Dougie and Sabrina, you're doing the same thing, that you're often called to work directly with youth on a regular basis in addition to your supervisor role, that's going to be in the mix too. So we won't forget about that role and that job, but we're really going to try to talk about how do I get other people on board? How do I supervise the overall program, as you so well articulated, that I'm really responsible for everything that goes on in my grade level at my site, and that's a lot. So that's what we're going to try to tackle.
Great.
How we're going to do that? Good. I like it too. That's why I'm excited. What we're going to be doing today is, this is just an orientation because you are not the first people who were told show up at this time for this thing. So I want to make sure you know what you're getting into. And I also want to lay out all of the dates for what we're going to be doing. The next session is going to be on July 31st, which is also a Wednesday. And that's when we're going to be looking at that Beyond the Bell resource that's in the mail on its way to you. So each of you is going to get your own copy of that. Our in-person session is a 2-day session here at our offices in Troy on the 19th and the 20th. We may have other people joining us. There were between 5 and 6 other people that were definitely, probably, like not 100%, but maybe 85% going to join us, but they couldn't be with us today. So we should have a nice sized group for the in-person, and then we'll do a lot more training on specific skills. After that, we don't just kick you out the door and say, good luck, hope everything works out fine, but I don't know. We will do some follow-up. So we've got 4 sessions scheduled throughout the year where we'll do calls like this, where we can see and talk to each other. But instead of me doing all of the talking, we're going to give each of you time to say, well, this is what I'm dealing with. You know, got some great information from this institute so far, but I'm trying to implement it, and here's where the struggles are. So it'll be a chance for all of the people in the institute to share struggles, but also get some feedback and some support in addressing those struggles. What we've learned through the years in working with supervisors is everybody has different strengths. So what may be a huge challenge for you is somebody else's strength. And if we can connect you both, that person can say, oh, well, here's what I do to address that issue. And you'll be like, oh my goodness, I've never heard such an amazing thing before. How did you come up with that? And they're like, I didn't realize that was a big deal, because they do it all the time. And then when that person goes, they'll be like, well, this is what I'm struggling with. And you might be like, I can tell you how to handle that. We'd have a really great system here. Let me tell you about it. And they're like, that's the most genius thing I've ever heard. So we're going to have 4 opportunities for that peer learning and peer coaching to happen, because it's one thing for us to say, here's some content. It's another thing for us to say, what are you actually dealing with today, this week, this month? And how can we help you resolve that, move on with it, and get back to being the amazing person that you are? So that's going to be some follow-up. We'll do a combination of sharing some new content with you. We tried to schedule these things throughout the year when we know certain things are going on. So depending on what people bring to the table, we may in October focus on recruitment and enrollment. By November or January, we may start talking about site reporting, because that's a major headache for a lot of supervisors, to make sure you have all your data in line. So there will be certain things that we'll bring to the table, but we will always make time for you all to say, can we talk about this? Because it's a burning problem and I'd really like your support on it. So that's what those calls are for. These are the dates, by the way. So Beyond the Bell is going to be the 31st at 10 a.m. The August in-person is on the 19th and 20th. That's a Monday and Tuesday. And then the follow-up calls will be virtual, so they'll be just like this via Zoom. And they'll be from 10 to noon on October 2nd, November 20th, January 22nd, and April 22nd. I will send this PowerPoint out so you'll have those dates in writing, but you may want to start adding those to your calendar as soon as possible, just so that you have them and you've defended those times. The resource that is coming to you is a phone book looking book called Beyond the Bell. So it's from our partners at AIR. They developed a manual that is specific to after-school programs, and we love it. We think it's fantastic because it essentially takes all of the behind-the-scenes things that supervisors and managers have to deal with, and it breaks it out in a very clear and specific way, but it also includes templates. So it'll say, why should you send letters home to parent, letting them know about your program? How do you invite parents into your program? And what are the different ways you communicate? But then it turns around and says, hey, here's a sample letter in a Microsoft Word doc that you can download and edit and make your own. So it not only gives you the tools and resources to help do your job at a high level, it also makes it super simple and easy for you to actually make that a part of your existing program. So it gives you a lot of guidance. We're going to give you some assigned reading from the book. It's a total of probably 50 to 70 pages, but it's scattered throughout this book that's like 300 pages. So we're really just hitting the highlights, and some of it is as short as a paragraph. I think the longest section is maybe 2 or 3 pages long, but it covers these areas: management, program design, partnerships and collaboration, program delivery, evaluation, and program improvement. And we're asking you to look at this just to see and compare to your own program, what do we already have in place, so that you're really clear on what systems and structures are already good and where is there maybe some room for improvement. So we'll talk through those. I will email you a document that has all of those topics and page numbers. So that'll give you sort of, it's essentially, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yep, internet is unstable again. So I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to repeat what I say. So you'll basically be getting a shortcut through the book to touch on some of the highlights. So that will highlight that. And then if you finish that reading assignment by July 31st, that July 31st session will be a chance for us to talk it through. So we'll be able to ask questions, talk about the book, what other resources are in there, but that'll give us a good foundation to start building on, so that when we meet in August, we'll actually be able to focus on the new learning, and we've already got a lot of this stuff under control. The other reason we share Beyond the Bell with you is because we can't think of everything and we can't cover everything in in the short amount of time that we're together. So we want you to have a resource that you can just pull off the shelf and be like, let me see if there's some answers in here for the problem that I'm dealing with, and it'll be right there for you. And you'll already have thumbed through it and you'll know where everything is and how it's organized. So again, that is going to be on Wednesday, July 31st. We'll block out from 10 to noon. I always block these out in 2-hour blocks, and we will end when we end. We will go no later than noon, but if it only takes us 45 minutes, an hour and a half, or whatever, we will stop and give you your time back. It's just easier to block out extra time than it is to take extra time after the fact. So I will send you the homework assignment after we're done this morning, and then look in the mail. You should each get your own personal copy of Beyond the Bell. So as soon as that arrives, which I hope will be later this week or beginning of next week, then you can take that and go through the information. I've already got your address. We've already sent it out, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
so the in-person session, again, Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th, we're gonna go from 9 to 4 every day. We're gonna break around noontime and have lunch. We will take you out to lunch. We are conveniently located next to 2 amazing restaurants, Brown's Brewing here on River Street, and then we are on one end of the parking lot away from Dinosaur Barbecue. So the good news about both of those is Brown's has a really diverse menu. So even people with dietary restrictions usually find something really good on the menu that they love, absolutely. And then depending on what dietary restrictions we may have, we'll try to do Dinosaur Barbecue. And if that's not going to work for everybody, then we may order in because Dinosaur delivers. So we will take care of you. We will make sure that you've got what you need so that you can be here and stay focused. And we'll do multiple modules in that time in between. So this is where we're going to customize what the group needs based on where people want to work. So we'll probably work in 60 to 90-minute blocks on different areas of content. And we would love to go more than 6 hours, but what we have found is we really can't push people much past that there's so much to learn and there's so much to handle, and that usually by around 3:30, 4 o'clock, people are just dead tired. So 6 hours each day, and then we'll call it a day. The address, I'm sorry, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Oh, no, I said it sounds good.
Good. That's our address, and I will make sure to send that out to you all as well. So these are some of the possible topics. They are not written in stone, but these are some of the topics that come up again and again, either as issues that programs have to deal with or as issues that supervisors struggle with. So I'm going to let you glance at this for a moment, and then I'm going to ask you, you don't have to pick off this list, but I'd like you to think about and tell me what are some of the possible things that you would like to get out of this institute. Are there certain topic areas, certain skills, or areas that you really would love to either strengthen and deepen or get introduced to and get good at? So what are the things that you specifically would like to get out of the Site Leader Institute? And I'm going to keep notes. And if we could take a minute for each of you to just tell me what you're thinking, I would love to hear it.
I would like to focus on supervision of staff. We've had a lot of staffing issues. Well, we did this past year. So any tips will help.
Is it managing them, orienting them, managing conflicts with staff, giving clear directions, having them follow through on directions?
Probably managing like them, like our staff weren't really like a team. We had a lot of division.
That's very helpful.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrina. Dougie or
Yeah.
Darren, anything, what else would you like to learn? Any other topics that you would really love to have covered for your own personal benefit?
I honestly was really looking at the supervision of staff because the same thing like Miss Sabrina. I actually had my staff work kind of well as a team. It was just staying on task and just staying focused is like it was a challenge for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not an unusual challenge in our field just because it's very draining to work with people, especially young people, and it's really easy to lose focus. And once you get into that habit, it's really hard to break it. So great. I really appreciate the specific, like that's the one thing. That's helpful. Thank you. Darren,
Could we
anything to add?
also,
Oh, yeah,
oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Serena. No, that's fine. Go ahead.
How about some project-based learning? We do have often find downtime during like small group tutoring if there's no homework and they're done with their reading. And I mean, we do have like the 2x2 is the color red coloring sheet,
Mm-hmm.
but like I know the liaisons have talked a lot about some project-based learning. So maybe if like I could familiarize myself with some project-based learning, then maybe we could implement it in some of the small group tutoring free time.
Excellent. Okay. Darren, what would you like to add?
Yeah. So I think bullets 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 is probably, you know, for me, just to, you know, help me out with some of that stuff like, you know, reports and reporting, you know, program development. I think a lot of those things right there, you know, are kind of my weaknesses when it comes to what I'm doing. You know, I don't really have a lot of staff at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, I'm looking over the topic. I feel like all of these can be can we work on all of them.
Yeah.
To tell you the
No,
truth,
and
but I think
that's
8, 9, 10 is probably 8, 9, 10, 11 is probably, you know, the ones that I really, really need to focus on more and do better at.
so reports and reporting, program development, accessing resources, but also everything.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I can
Yeah.
all this stuff, you know, I can, you know, improve on, to tell you the truth.
Yes. And so that's why
Part of
we
program
really,
development.
yeah. That's why I want to start with the things that you think are most critical, most urgent, but all of these things are good for supervisors. And a lot of this is like long-term, you know, you may be working on some of these topics year after year after year before you finally feel like you get it. Which is why we want to do that follow-up work with you. But part of my job is also going to be connecting you to resources, because for some of these things, like supervision of staff, is also really about effective supervision of children. So anything here that you may have to deal with, you may have to turn around and teach your staff how to do the same thing. If I get you on board with reports and reporting, you're going to have to turn around and get your staff on board with that same method. So we'll try to connect you with resources. So even if something is still in development, you'll have the tools you need to start working on it either on your own or that we can all work on it through the year. So that's really helpful. And I appreciate you saying that like all of this stuff is good. That makes me feel good, like we have a good list here. But it's also kind of overwhelming. It's like, wow, this is a lot to learn. Like, man, this job is complicated. Yeah. So thank you. That's really helpful. I'm also going to try to get some input from the other folks. We have another group who is, they've got some funding here in the capital region, and they are considering whether they can join as a group to join us, and they're trying to work out the details of that, but they had conflicts with our July meeting dates. So there's potentially, we're gonna more than double our group in person, but I will try to get their input as well and keep everybody informed about what the top topics are. And those are the things that we'll try to focus on at the in-person, but I'm not gonna neglect any of these topics. Even if we don't spend a lot of time on these things, we will share resources, we will share ideas, and anything that we don't get to in August is a great topic for us to talk about in one of our follow-up meetings. The other thing I will share with you, so this is what I was just talking about, the peer coaching and the technical assistance. So we're going to focus that on actual challenges. So if, for example, Darren, you brought up some really great ideas, like you've got a report due in November, we're talking in October, you're like, wow, I'm realizing like I have a lot of data to pull together for this report, and like it's kind of surprising me and taking a lot of my time. we can take some time to talk about, well, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? What systems do you put in place? How do you organize your work and gather that data so you're just wrapping up and cleaning up at report time rather than going and trying to find that information for the first time? So these are some of the strategies we can do, but it won't be focused on content in general, like, oh, here's some good ideas about reporting. It'll really be focused on what's up for you. What is your current burning need? Let's address that. Because if we do that, we've actually helped everybody else at the table learn some great strategies and some great ways to deal with that. So our focus is going to shift from me doing talking and me sharing information from a point of being an expert or a person with experience to saying, now let's talk about your actual day-to-day challenges. Let's use that as our starting point. And hopefully everybody walks away with some really clear actions to address that burning issue that they're trying to address.
Great.
Awesome. Here are some quick resources in brief, just in case you are a go-getter and you're like super excited and can't wait for that Beyond the Bell to get to you. Our website has tons of resources. We will share some of them with you as this institute progresses. CETL is it's another acronym that I forget what it means, and they actually don't even tell you what the acronym is anymore. They just go by their 4 letters. But they're a think tank out of Texas that got some funding to do some work at the federal level. They've created some amazing resource guides covering different curriculum topics and programming topics, and they're just phenomenal. So the CETL resource guide is another fantastic tool, and it's free. It's a fantastic tool for structuring programs and for helping supervisors understand what after school should look like. The other resource that you may be familiar with since 21st Century, I believe, is part of Hudson Blue Hawk Nation, is the U for Youth Federal Resource Guide. So y4y.ed.gov has a lot of resources specifically for the 21st Century Community Learning Centers, but it's actually great for any after school or youth program. So these are some of the free resources. These cover everything from programming to advocacy to marketing to how to do certain things. So I don't want to wait until later to share that stuff with you. These are great resources that you can start exploring now and start sharing, especially since it's summer and a lot of us are already thinking about what are we going to do this next school year. Let's have a good plan. So here's 3 resources right off the bat. Again, I will send you this PowerPoint. You'll be able to open the links and click on them directly and go straight there. Are there any other resources besides those that you're aware of? I'm always happy when other people share something that I haven't heard of, because then I get to learn something. So are there any other resources related to after school or youth programming that you use that you'd love to share with us?
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. This is something, so I'm always gathering new resources. We share a lot of them on our website. As we get closer to the in-person date, I'm going to start sharing some that are specific to supervision, but not necessarily specific to after school. One of the things we love about Beyond the Bell is that it was designed for an after-school program setting. So it's meant for youth programs, summer programs, but I have been doing a lot of work researching what businesses and for-profits, as well as other nonprofits that don't necessarily serve youth, how do they structure their programs? How do they do supervisor development? And taking a lot of that learning and bringing it to us. So I'll be sharing some of those resources just to help broaden what we have available to us. Any questions, any comments, but more specifically, are there any issues that you're currently dealing with in addition to what you've already told me that we should be aware of? This is an opportunity for us to actually address specific concerns and challenges that you're facing, and we can do that together. So are there any other issues? You've already told me managing staff, addressing divisions within the team, keeping them focused and staying on task, dealing with reporting, programming, development. Any other burning issues that would be awesome if we could tackle by the end of August?
I would say a good one that I've been dealing with this past school year is conflict within staff, or how to approach a staff, like even when I'm frustrated, just trying to, get them back. That goes back to the them being off focus, which is hard to do, but it's also frustrating. So just a different way to approach them in a appropriate manner.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's one of those supervision issues that cuts across all fields, like managers having to deal with conflicts within staff, or, having to tell staff something, I need you to correct this, or you're doing this wrong, or you're creating trouble. Like, that is a tough conversation. So I get that.
Yeah, it is.
How to handle that. Great. Other burning issues that you're currently dealing with. Again,
just to reiterate, mine is basically just staff issues and kind of what Ms. Dougie just said. I mean, there's obviously other issues too, but it's mainly just the staffing issues for me, our site anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I said it already, but just like age appropriate programs, kind of on the fly, when things kind of go, south, like, certain things happen. So, trying to create something off schedule when, things don't go as planned. I think that's a big one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I like
agree
that
with
too.
that.
Good job, Mr. Darren. I like that.
Oh, love.
So creating off schedule, creating on the fly, having backup plans when things go wrong.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But related to age appropriate, like, that's the real trick, right? Like, oh, I have some great activities, but they're meant for 6-year-olds, and I'm working with the 9th graders. They're not going to like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This is a good list. This is going to be great. Anytime you have information, resources, or tips, we're going to create lots of opportunities for you to share. Once we get some other programs and some other organizations in the mix and we start working together, I think what you'll find is there's a lot of things that you all do really well that other programs don't, because they're not your program. And it's really easy for us in our field to focus on what's not working and what's wrong. So I'm hoping that through this process, by creating some opportunities for you to share with each other how you do what you do, other people will learn from that, but you'll also walk away feeling like, wow, we have some really strong structures in place. Like, we've got a really positive group of people. Like, this program does a lot well, because you need to know that. You need to know how much of what you're doing is great already and maintain that. And we're also going to try to address these burning issues, these problems, these concerns, because if we can work through those, then that means even more time and more focus on the great things that go on. Just to get you thinking between now and our next session, we're going to be talking about things related to your role as supervisor, but also things related to your own professional development. So not just how do I survive my day-to-day job, but how do I build my skills in my role or as a person in the field? Sometimes that means, what's my next level? How do I get there? It also relates to your programs development. So to Darren's point, I want to add some more age-appropriate programs so that we're always doing something that's good for the kids, even when we, have to make changes at the last minute. That's great for your program, because now your program doesn't waste any time. You've always got something good, even when it doesn't go as planned. And then current operational issues, you've already told me some great things about that in terms of managing staff conflict, developing better, team cohesion, but also dealing with some of the behind the scenes stuff, right, like reporting and program development. So don't shy away from those things. Think about all of them and try to capture them. I'll do some different things as we work together to help draw that out. But you can also reach out to me via email or via phone and let me know, hey, can I just talk to you for a minute about this? You don't have to wait to the next session. Part of my job is not just doing institutes like this, but it's being available to people like you to help you find solutions to the problems that you're facing. Any other questions or comments for me before we wrap up?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I second that.
I'm thinking, I don't know if you guys touch on it or not, but just kind of being honest with yourself about what you can and can't do, and I actually, like, maybe adding people to the team that can do some of the things that you can't do well, and helping delegate. I think that's another weakness of mine, is me trying to do too much. So I don't know if that's things that's touched on in this leadership academy, but I think stuff like that would be kind of good for me.
Adding people
Kind
to
of
the
delegate,
team who enhance
delegate.
what you bring.
Yeah, so if I got a weakness, maybe having people on my team that's my weakness is their strength, and then and actually seeing that, understanding that when people are on the team already.
Yeah, we have a couple of things. I am likely going to send you all after July 31st a supervisor assessment. So it's a tool that lets you think about the skills you have as a supervisor, but we also have a tool that we use with credentialing that covers a lot of the frontline skills. So, what does it look like to do creative arts effectively? What does it look like to do physical activity effectively? And that's part of the curriculum for our credential candidates, but it's also a really effective tool for what you're just talking about, which is, where are my strengths? What am I good at? Like, I got this physical fitness stuff down. Like, we can do, I know the workouts, I've got games, like, we can always do this stuff, but like, don't put me with the art supplies. Like, I have no idea what to do. But you need to know that so that you can be like, I'm looking for somebody with some creativity, somebody with some art expertise to come in so we can do more creative expression. And once you've done that, now we've got all these things covered. Now we've got an even greater program. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Darren. Again, any other burning issues, you don't have to come up with it now. If you're anything like me, in 10 minutes, you'll be like, oh, I wish I had said this. But that's okay. You can email me. You can let me know. The other ways you can keep up, not just with this institute, but with everything that's going on with the Network for Youth Success, you can join our listservs. So if you visit our website, Network for Youth Success, we have listservs that will keep you connected. We have a statewide list. It's an email list. You get regular newsletter updates. And actually, you don't have to do anything, because I forgot to tell you this, but by being a part of this institute, you are automatically given a membership in the Network for Youth Success, which means half of the membership money goes right back into the Hudson Out of School Time Network, so you're supporting their work, but you're also going to start getting a monthly members-only newsletter that includes funding resources. So it's all of the grants that are applicable to people in New York State doing our work, and it'll be sifted for you. And I think our last one went out last week, and it had like 20 different grant opportunities. It was massive. So you're going to already be added to our listserv. It includes news and updates, spotlights about people in the field, as well as upcoming opportunities, professional development, advocacy, everything else. So you're going to be added to the list, and I need to make sure to add you to that. The Power of Three campaign is also on our website. That's our advocacy list. We'll talk a little more about that in person, but it's not just for people in the field. It's also for families, community members. People who sign up for that get alerts from us when we need action at the state or federal level. So if they're threatening to cut something, or they're thinking about adding money to one of these important programs, we use the Power of Three campaign to give everybody a heads up and say, now's the time to call. Here's your elected official. Let them know how you feel about this. You can follow us on Twitter at NYS Youth Success. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Network for Youth Success. Our Facebook page has lots of activity ideas. So if you're looking for specific program ideas related to STEM or arts or anything else, activities to do with kids, Facebook has something new every week, generally every day. So I strongly encourage you to like us on Facebook, follow us. And then my email is right there, timothy@networkforyouthsuccess.org. If during the course of this institute, you're like, you know what, Timothy, can I just have some one-on-one time and just talk about some of the things that I'm dealing with and struggling with? Like, I feel like I need a little extra. You get to have that. So you can email me and we can set up some one-on-one time and work on those skills, whether it's now or after the event or during the course of this program year, just so that you're getting the full benefit and that you're actually able to take this new content and apply it. Sometimes it's great in the setting that I'm setting up where, we can work with each other as peers, but sometimes you just need a little extra time to like work through it one-on-one. So you get to have that. And that's everything I had prepared for you. I think that covers pretty much everything from A to Z about the Site Leader Institute. Any other questions?
I think
Nope,
we're good.
I'm good.
How are you feeling about this institute now that you got signed up for it, but now that you have a better idea of all that is entailed? How are you feeling?
Good, honestly, a lot better. A lot better.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to, you know, get better at some things, you know.
Hey, that's what it's all about, right? That's why I do what I do. I really love helping people improve their skills. And I know it's going to benefit you, benefit your work, make it easier for you to be at work. But I also know it's going to benefit your young people because you're going to be bringing your best self to them and they're going to get all the benefit from that. So that's the plan anyway, right?
Sounds good.
All right.
It really is. Yep.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time this morning. Look in the mail for your Beyond the Bell book. I'm going to email you just in a little while, both with this PowerPoint as well as the homework assignment, so you can be ready for that. And then you'll have my email because I'm emailing you directly. My contact information is all included at the bottom of my email. You can reach out to me at any time. Until then, have a wonderful day. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Timothy. We're waving back, just so you know.
Just so you
Thank
know,
you.
yep.
I knew it. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.